Yo, Elliot! So our buddy Shafiq wants to know if scapular retraction is essential for bench pressing, and if so, why? So for you, those of you that don't know what he's talking about, if you've ever studied powerlifting, powerlifters are your best resource for how to develop your bench press, your squat, and your deadlift, because that's their sport. Their sport is how can you bench press more, deadlift more, squat more. So you're gonna kind of want to, when it comes to those three big exercises, you want to go directly to the people that have a sport based on that, you know? And one of the things that you'll learn if you study powerlifters is one of the methods for bench pressing is to make sure that your shoulders are down and sort of pick up your rib cage so that when you bench press, you end up like this. Boom, boom, as opposed to this. And also elbow placement is important. Powerlifters tend to bring their elbows in and it looks more like this, or bodybuilding bench press looks more like this, right? Boom. So the scapular retraction is something that you'll see some people do based on their sport. A lot of bodybuilders will do that wide bench press with a wide grip and elbows out here, and that doesn't allow for scapular retraction. Powerlifters, different story. There's a number of reasons. I'll get the crappy one out of the way right off the bat. The crappy reason why you want to retract your shoulders is because it picks your chest up, creates this mound so that you don't have to go as far when you're bench pressing, right? If your sport is to bench press a lot of weight, you don't want to move through a full range of motion. You want to move through like whatever you can do to make that shorter, and then creating that mound by retracting your scapula, you reduce that. The really good reason why you want to do that is because it's going to save your shoulders. What happens when you retract? What happens when you don't do that? When you use your typical wide elbow scapular spread posture and pressing technique is you work the prime movers, which would be, you know, the pecs, the tricep, the anterior compartment of the shoulder, in absence of all the shoulder stabilizers. I'm always talking about posture, and one of the major shoulder stabilizers that are associated with good posture are the muscles that help you draw down and back. Someone who looks like this has a much more appealing look, but also a stronger posture. They're moving from greater structural integrity than someone who looks like this, right? So bench pressing with the scapula adducted means that you're turning on all of the small stabilizer muscles, subscapularis, and some of the little muscles, I don't remember all their names, deep inside the shoulder, have to be turned on. So now you're moving from a place of a strong foundation. You've got a stronger foundation because all of the stabilizer muscles, the entire stabilizer system, the tiny muscles that aren't sexy, right? The little muscles that muscles that you can't see, right? That you don't flex in the mirror, are being activated and strengthened when you retract your scapula. And in essence, you are building a bigger, stronger, better looking body because of the structural integrity associated with it, as opposed to out here, right? This is going to train your prime movers in absence of the stabilizers. You won't look bad. Those muscles will get big. You're doing some sort of weird technique to develop different parts of the pec or whatever the case may be, but it's an absence of the stabilizer system, which means that you are building, it's like trying to build a skyscraper without a solid bedrock foundation. So it looks great, that thing is big and beautiful, but it's on shaky foundation and ultimately will tip over eventually. And that usually for you ends up being, my shoulder's fucked up, I need surgery. So yes, my suggestion would be to use scapular retraction when you're doing everything. I mean, that's why I always talk about front squats, that's why I always talk about deadlifts. My major love for those exercises is the fact that it forces thoracic extension, which is coupled with the scapular adduction. Boom, right? Because posture is everything. It's where you're proceeding from in all of your movements. Where you start from, the place you're coming from, is more important than how you go about getting where you want to go. Right? If you're starting from a shitty foundation, you're gonna get shitty results. You might be okay, but not your best. You wanna work from a solid foundation, and what you're asking me with regard to your bench press technique is going to support you in having a stronger foundation. It might not build the prettiest bodybuilding superficial muscles, but it'll build a much more structurally integrous body that will ultimately be better looking and function far better than the other way around. Good luck.
Yo, Elliot,